Hey, it's Rick at For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. Happy Limbo Sunday. What? Yeah, happy Limbo Sunday. It's that Sunday between the Christmas service and the New Year's service. It's that Sunday gathering where, Christmas was just a couple days ago, so you can't stop talking about Christmas and ignore it. And it's not yet the new year, so you're not able to really talk about the new year yet. We're kind of stuck in the middle. We're stuck in this land of limbo between Christmas and New Year. And by the way, among churches and Christians, this is the least attended gathering for believers right now on Limbo Sunday. If you're joining us this week and gathering with us on Zoom and watching this video, you are a special kind of elite. You need to give yourself a point. Congratulations, you rock. Let me start with a personal story. When I was a teenager, my plan to be a better follower of Jesus and get to know him better was to completely stop watching TV, to never watch TV again. That was my plan. And it lasted for about a month or two. That's back in the day when TV was a thing. Back in the day before the internet. I graduated high school, I think in 91 or something. Graduated high school before the internet was really a thing, right? So it was just TV back then. So I said, this is my plan. I want to be a better follower of Jesus, so I'm going to stop watching TV. And I went to my youth pastor. I said, I've got this great plan. And my youth pastor, he just looks at me and says, that's a stupid idea. You're going to miss all the news. You're going to miss all the good stuff. You're going to miss what the school teaches you through the TV. That's a dumb idea. You stop that plan right now. Nothing like a good youth pastor to bring you back to reality. Let me ask you, what's one plan that you made that ended up being a really, really bad idea? Take a moment and share it with whoever it is you're watching with. We've got a couple of married couples watching this. We've got some families watching this with them. Whoever you happen to be with right now, just take a pause and tell them the one plan that you made that ended up being a really horrible idea. So realistically, some of the plans that we make are kind of silly. Other plans are very, very serious. 2020, however, made all of our plans just plain silly. 2020 is like, no, I don't like any of your plans, so I'm going to force you to change all of them and make it really, really hard to plan for more than a month at a time. Yay, 2020. Thanks for that. However, I'm thankful that 2020 didn't change God's plan. God's got some awesome plans for you, and I'd like to look at them today. We're reading from Psalm chapter 118. Now, Psalm chapter 118 is a really, really long psalm, so I can't read the whole thing. I'm just going to read 4 verses in Psalm chapter 118. Verse 1, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His faithful love endures forever. Verse 14, the Lord is my strength and my song. He has given me victory. Verse 15, songs of joy and victory are sung in the camp of the godly. The Lord is God shining upon us. Verse 27, the strong right arm of the Lord has done glorious things. Hey kids, remember to keep your eye on the background for all the stuff that's hidden back there. Some of it might be Christmassy, some of it might be New Year. I'll let you have a look and try to figure it out. And also please remember to watch the next episode of Connect HQ. I really wish we had time to go through the entire psalm because Psalm 118 is awesome. As you read it yourself, you can try to capture each section and then summarize each section as it's sharing with you what God is promising you. But for now, I've got a summary of Psalm 118. As we look ahead to year 2021, as we look back at year whatever kind of year 2020 was, I've got something to share with you that's going to be hopeful, that's going to be promising. God's 4 plans for you in 2021. Yes, I don't have a clue if 2021 is going to be better than 2020. How could it possibly get any worse? But I know that God has 4 plans for you in 2021 based on Psalm 118. So let's take a look at what God has planned for you. Plan 1 of 4. God plans to love you, and that is never going to change. 118 verse 1 says, his love endures forever. I love repetition in the Psalms because repetition is a useful tool that allows us to see what is important. His love endures forever. That phrase is repeated, letting us know that this is valuable information. This is so important. No matter the problems the author is telling us, from king to peasant, God's love won't fail, and he'll see us through everything that we face. You can fret all you want, but there's one thing that's not going to change. God's love for you won't change. 2020 came in like a wrecking ball. Can I use that phrase? Am I allowed to do that? It messed us all up, but it didn't mess up God. God still loves you. 2020 wasn't an act of judgment. It wasn't an act of wrath because God doesn't like you. Not at all. Through 2020, God has been loving us, and we've been learning new ways to connect with him and new ways to receive his love. In 2021, God's still going to love you, and he's still going to be inviting you to experience his love. So regardless of what 2021 has for you, God willing, it's not as bad as what 2020 showed us. God still loves you. Here's the second thing God is planning for you in 2021. God is planning to still be with you. Verse 5 says, "When hard pressed, the Lord is with me." The psalmist has the king of Israel in mind right here. He paints a scenario of nations rising up against Israel and trying to defeat it. The psalmist reminds the reader that the kings and the nations' problems are not bigger than God. And we really need to hear this because of the year that we just came through. None of the problems that we've experienced are bigger than God. 2020 rose up against us and became a problem for many nations, kind of what the psalm is telling us. All of the nations had a problem with 2020. The text says, when hard pressed. Life has moments of great joy and of great pain. Like, say, 2020 was a moment of a lot of great pains. Pain in life isn't a random accident. It's a normal part of life. But God's got a plan for that. The text says, the Lord is with me. God didn't leave us in 2020. We connected with him differently as we did in previous years. But he didn't go anywhere. In 2020, he's been teaching us new ways of connecting with him, confirming that he can be connected with in many ways because he stays the same regardless, and he stays accessible to us regardless of our circumstance. God will continue to be with us in 2021. Here's the third thing that God is planning for you. God plans to strengthen you, and man, do we ever need it. In verse 14, it says, the Lord is my strength and my defense. Now, I don't know about you, but there have been a few times through 2020 that I've felt like I have run out of strength. Like, let's just start with the school at home for my 4 kids thing when the first lockdown took place. Like, that wasn't fun for any of us, at 4 Community. People from 4 Community, do you remember how we first started this virtual thing? We used the WhatsApp conference call feature to stay connected before we switched to Zoom. Like, that was what our gatherings looked like. We're on the phone. We're phoning each other. And that's what church looked like for us. And it totally rocked. It was a great way to connect. Like, wow. Actually, looking back, I think that we did a really good job learning how to stay connected. And I think we're still going to learn how to be more connected in the year ahead. 4 Community, you rocked it. I mean, everyone stepped up. Nobody took a back seat, and we all pressed in to try to figure out how to do this together. But going through it, it's like, whoa, right? I am so glad that 2020 is coming to an end and that new things, God willing, are going to be better in 2021. The text says, my strength. God's plan, when all of this stuff falls apart on us and we have to live through it, God's plan is summed up in the phrase, my strength. God is all powerful. He owns all the resources, can do everything he wants all by himself. I'm not strong enough to do life on my own. I need God to give me a hand. And God has given us a hand through 2020. And God will continue to give us a hand and continue to give us a hand through 2021 with everything that we need. We need to continue to learn what it looks like to reach out and connect with him, what it looks like to receive that strength from God as he wants to give it to us. And that's what 2021 is going to be. Just like he's helped us through 2020, he's going to continue to help us through 2021 as we continue to get a handle on what it looks like to connect with God in a new way. Actually, I'm really looking forward to seeing what For Community and we are going to grow into as we keep on growing together and finding new ways to connect with God in through 2021. Here's the last plan that I want to comment on. God plans to guide you, and we certainly always need this. Verse 27 says he's made his light shine on us. Sometimes these passages use light as a metaphorical tool, as though someone has turned on a hall light so that we can see where we're going. And it's just as simple and practical as that. Other times light can refer to enlightenment, as though God is revealing something to you that you couldn't possibly know on your own unless he told you. And I think both things are meant here. God's wisdom found in the Bible helps us to make better choices. That's like turning on a light bulb. God's revelation of what our eternity is going to look like is insight that can keep us motivated in a steady direction. Jesus himself is the ultimate light. He shows us how to connect with God through faith in him, and he shows us how to follow him into deeper connection with God. So here's what this plan looks like. Keep reading the Bible and keep letting God guide you. So to summarize, here are God's 4 plans for you in 2021. He's going to keep loving you. He's going to continue to be with you. He's going to keep strengthening you and teaching us how to lean into him for that strength. And he's going to continue to guide you. One last comment before we close it. The text says the stone that the builders rejected has now become the capstone. Man, I wish I had more time on Psalm 118. It's pretty hard to read this psalm and not see Jesus in it. Starting at verse 22, keeping in mind that it's Jesus that's put in place as the piece that keeps the whole thing together. Maybe we can plan on one thing for 2021, all of us together, even though we've had such a hard time planning more than a month or so at a time through 2020. Since Jesus is the center of all God's plans for you, could we join together and plan to keep Jesus at the center of all that we do? I mean, we don't yet know if 2021 is going to be better or worse than 2020. We could be saying to ourselves, how could it possibly get any worse? And I might agree with you. But we do know that God's plan for us doesn't change. So let's cooperate with God by putting Jesus at the center of whatever our plans for 2021 look like. Would you please plan on keeping Jesus at the center of your 2021? If you are not yet connecting or can no longer connect with your community, would you please consider connecting with us at For Community? We connect online on Zoom. We're going to continue to do that through the lockdown until it makes sense for us to look for some kind of physical locations. And we're going to continue to embrace Zoom, whatever that looks like in the days ahead. So consider joining us. That's it from me to you for now. For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. Happy Limbo Sunday.